Hello and welcome to Celebrating You, and I am over the top so excited to introduce to you the most amazing, the most fascinating, the most fabulous Olly Clarke, photographer, entrepreneur and so much more. Welcome, Olly!
Hiya, how are you doing?
I'm so excited. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Really good. Really excited to be talking to you today. So yeah, no, it's going to be good.
Well, the pleasure is all mine, Olly, and I'm sure all of our watchers and listeners would love to know what exactly do you do and how did you get to be doing all of these amazing things?
Yeah, so I have two businesses, and one is as a pet photographer, and one as a jigsaw puzzle maker, which is really amazing. So I make really jazzy jigsaw puzzles, and I do lots of really fun events and with pet photography, which is really cool. So I think what we'll do is we'll backtrack to the 2006 when it all began, which was really cool. And my GCSE results weren't very good, so I wanted to study English and psychology at university, not at university, at A level, but that didn't go to plan because my grades weren't good enough. So I ended up doing photography instead. So that started out doing that, and I absolutely hated the course to start off with because it was all in darkroom. And being dyspraxic, my hands couldn't do the spiral method. So literally, like, I just could not do 35mm pitch black, trying to do all crazy hand maneuvers, developing film. So I couldn't do that. Which and then for Christmas, I got given a digital SLR, and my love of photography just literally changed in seconds. I was just like, this is amazing, and yeah. So then completed A levels. Didn't really know what I wanted to do after A levels, and so after an argument in the car with my mum, I was like, I want to go to university and study photography. And it was amazing. The whole uni experience was incredible. So I went to Anglia Ruskin University in Cambridge, and what was bizarre is I went for the open day and I absolutely loved the place. And I was shown around by the head lecturer, and I turned up thinking I had met all the lecturers and everything, but when I turned up, they'd all left. So I had completely new people, and there was this German woman called Kirsten who was the head lecturer, and she was like, "Hey, I'm here to turn the course around, and get it really amazing. And you've got me instead of this guy who I thought I was going to be having for 3 years." And during the course of the year, I absolutely loved it, but I was really ill when I was at university with pretty bad anxiety. And I was actually in hospital for my anxiety, which a lot of people don't know about because they see me as really confident. But actually, when I was 18, 19, all I wanted to do was fit in. And when everyone is wild drinking, unfortunately, like, I couldn't be myself, and I was completely a fake person. And because I was fake, it just caused me to be really anxious. And yeah, I was really ill. And I ended up having support by an amazing, I'm not sure if it's a charity or if it's an NHS branch of the NHS called Cameo, which is Cambridge Mental Health Services. And it was a support group. And that support group, the woman was literally incredible, and she was called Liz, and she used to support me one-on-one with her dog, Nero, who was this battered rescue dog, who literally, literally looked like he'd been in every single war, but he was absolutely lovely. So yeah, and then what happened was then she introduced me to, once I'd been with her a while, she also had a therapy group which was full of Cambridge University students. So I went to the art college in Cambridge, and these were like la-di-da, amazing, super intelligent Cambridge students, and like they're just like, whoa, like their sentences were so long, using like the longest words possible, and I was just like, I don't understand these people, but they were incredible. They're like, we were in a really amazing group. And they go, look, we've got funding to put on a project. And I was like, oh, I quite fancy doing something with photography for the group, and explore mental health through animal portraiture, which is what we did. And we contacted lots of different places to work with them. So one was Shepref Wildlife Park, which is really amazing zoo just outside of Cambridge, and also it was the Ely Raptor Foundation, which I took one of the best photos I've ever taken. I took there. It was actually the first animal photo I took in the studio was at this place, and it was of a great grey owl. And this picture was just absolutely stunning of this owl. All the rest of the pictures which I took on that day were rubbish, other than this picture. And it's still one of my favourite photos to this day. Then I graduated from uni, and then I had 4 years struggling trying to be a photographer. So I did a lot of wedding photography. I had some absolutely horrendous customers. Unfortunately, it didn't go right. And a big reason why things didn't work to my advantage was actually because I was too cheap. And so I completely attracted the wrong people. And I photographed a civil partnership wedding, and they tried to take me to court because I didn't photograph a nephew. And then from then on, I was just totally put off wedding photography. But it wasn't even in the list. This person wasn't even in the list of photos, but they were absolutely nasty people. Trying to make ends meet, I also did lots of really fun projects, and some of them were actually off the back of my university work experience, which where I worked for the Zambian newspapers out in Zambia, which I should have mentioned this earlier, but I'll talk about this. And it was an absolutely amazing experience working for the newspapers in the basement of this absolute ginormous skyscraper in Lusaka. Lusaka has got to be probably the most horrendous city I've ever been in. It is literally concrete and nothing to do, and just poverty everywhere. But I was working with the president of Zambia, and it was really funny. It was like one of the things what I was doing was I was reading the newspapers. Every day we read the newspaper of what was hot in Lusaka, and there was this really impossible to read advert promoting this festival, and I was like, what's this event about? And they were like, it's amazing, do you want to go? And I was like, this picture does not make it look amazing. And it was like, yeah, but we can go there if you want. So we travelled 12 hours to the swamps of Zambia for this festival, and it was a celebration of the king of a province called Mongu moving from his flooded palace to his dry palace. And it's this huge celebration, and there's guards everywhere, and also the president is there. And it was really terrifying. Literally, I was literally like the only white guy there pretty much. And these guards, if you went in the wrong place, they would whip you with the tail of a hippopotamus. And it was really funny. It was like, you also had to bow down to all these items which were being moved from his flooded palace to his dry palace. So I was bowing down to like lampshades and teapots and tables and all this stuff, and it was a really bonkers procession. And it was stunning. To get to where this festival happened, had to paddle out in a Makoro canoe for about an hour to get to where this flooded palace was, and then the celebration happened, and it was just beautiful. And then that finished, and then I went back and I told the head of the photography department at the Zambian News Services, how amazing it was. And she was like, did you see the guys getting whipped everywhere? And I was like, yeah, I did. And she goes, do you know why I didn't go? And she was like, I got whipped. And she was like, that's why I will never go there again. I sent you there. And you know how everyone was really clingy and quite protective of you and will only allow you to go in certain areas. And that's because if you went in the wrong area, you would have got whipped. And I was like, cheers. Why didn't you tell me that, like, when, like, before I went? And it was absolutely amazing. So I did that. And then I literally took up every odd photography job which I possibly could. Some were amazing, and then others were just not me. And I actually worked for an African gang in Portsmouth as their party photographer, which was really, like, it was really interesting. I never got paid on time, and the reason why is normally on a night out, on these parties, someone would get arrested and they would end up being the person who had the money to pay me. So yeah, like one time it was about 6-7 weeks later that I got paid. And then one of the hilarious nights, when it wasn't hilarious, it was quite uncomfortable, was I got booked for a job in Bournemouth to photograph a party, and they got in a fight and we all got pepper sprayed, and I got paid to get pepper sprayed, and it was just, oh, it was horrible. And what's really funny is now I do a lot of business networking, and one of the people in that gang I see networking, but no one actually knows. Whenever we see each other, we always have a massive grin on our faces, and I'm like, yeah, you're the woman from the gang, aren't you? It was like, yeah. But she's actually lovely. She's lovely, but still a bit dodgy. So yeah, and then what happened was in 2015, I decided that my New Year's resolution was to try and get with my photography in as many magazines as possible. And my tactic for doing this was going to my village co-op and looking in the magazine aisles to find out the name of the publishers to contact them. I quickly gave up because this task was just going to take too long, and I asked the co-op manager for a list of all the publishers which they work with. And she was like, why do you want that? And I was like, I want to get in as many magazines as possible with photography. And it was the worst customer experience I've ever experienced in my life from a shop. She was so rude to me. And she was like, so you're saying you're a sports photographer, a wedding photographer, newspaper photographer, a product photographer, a landscape photographer? I was like, yeah, I am. And she pretty much laughed in my face, and you're setting yourself up to fail. She was like, go niche or you will fail. And she was like, tell me, what are you good at? And I was like, what's the best photograph you've ever taken? I was like, oh, it's this owl which I took at university. And she goes, right, well, become an animal pet photographer then. And I was like, all right, okay then. So I went home, and then I put on Facebook that I was looking to photograph animals. And the Facebook post went viral. I had 90 people, probably more than that, contact me in half an hour. And I was so scared. I was like, oh my God, like literally 90 people contacting me in half an hour. That's more people contacting me in 4 years for work than I have in half an hour. So this half hour was great. Within this half hour, I had loads of people messaging wanting to book in, which was great. But I actually deleted the post because I was so scared. I would never ever delete a viral Facebook post. So, and then the photography journey began as a pet photographer. So I worked within my studio for 2 years, photographing all sorts of unusual animals, and had amazing stories. And yeah, so I thought I'd share some of them. One of the stories is actually from when I was at university, which was a lie. On a night out, I had far too much to drink, and I told someone that I was going to photograph a tiger in the university studio. And so then a couple of weeks later, that person saw me in the street and goes, so have you photographed this tiger yet? And I was like, yeah, no, I haven't, but it's 2 weeks' time. So embarrassed about my lie. And then I was like, I like this idea. I'm going to find a tiger. And I found a tiger, and the tiger was absolutely terrified. And I have no pictures to prove that the story is true, because literally the zoo manager stopped the photo shoot within 2 minutes. As soon as the black backdrop went down, the tiger had the most mundane, boring life in its cage, never seen a black background, and just completely freaked out. So we had to stop. So we did that. And then from in my studio, lots of really fun stuff happened. I also, for a while, was a member of a group called PRAS, which stands for Portsmouth Reptile and Amphibian Society, which was really fun. And PRAS people had the most unusual animals, and I found a woman with pet raccoons, and she actually bred raccoons. So I had quite a few raccoons coming in, and I even had to go to a lady's house and photograph her raccoons. And it took me about half hour going up and down the road trying to find her house. I then rang her on the phone saying, look, we can't find you. And she's like, I'll come out onto the road. And her house, literally all the windows were smashed and it looked derelict. But I went inside, and the inside of the house was filthy, but the outside had all these exotic animals in the most immaculate cages. And like all these animals, so she didn't look after herself, but her animals were her life and her absolute love. And they had the most beautiful, absolutely stunning enclosures, and these animals were really, really well looked after. So yeah, had it been the other way round, where she had an immaculate house and gross cages, you probably would have called the RSPCA or something. But yes, I got to photograph all these baby raccoons, and it was absolutely adorable, which was really cool. And then from that, I then had one of her customers who bought a pet raccoon contact me and ask if I would mind photographing her own raccoons. So she brought her raccoons to her studio, and these were ginormous, big, amazing, beautiful raccoons, but they destroyed my studio. I had to buy new lights, new backdrops, I had to buy everything new. But the truth was, I actually needed it. All my equipment was completely knackered. So it was really lucky that these raccoons trashed my studio. But
can I just ask you a question? Sorry to interrupt, but did you bill the raccoons for the damage?
I didn't bill them. I should have done. But because I literally had taken no photos of these raccoons.
Hello there. The technology just chopped out for a little bit, so we are back and we are live and direct with you. And Olly was just telling us the amazing story about the raccoons that lived in 5-star luxury, came to the studio, trashed the joint, didn't pay the bill, and it's back to you, Olly.
Yeah, so unfortunately they didn't pay the bill for smashing everything up. But yeah, so then we took the raccoons down to the harbour for a photo shoot down on the harbour. And we put these raccoons in these boats. And looking back on it, I feel really bad now. They've just trashed my studio. And now I'm putting them in boats, and they could have trashed the boats also, but they didn't. So we could have got a bill from that. But what was kind of crazy is a couple of months after that, the woman asked me to pay her raccoon was sick, and asked me to pay the vet bill for her raccoon. I can't believe I did it. I paid £300 for this raccoon's vet bill at the kindness of my heart. And the woman never paid me back. And I still, to this day, have not been paid this £300 from this woman, which is not really cool.
Well, Divine Raccoon Justice recovers that bill for you.
Yeah, but I got amazing pictures of the raccoons. They're worth £300, but it would be nice to have one day. She'll be like, I feel really bad telling me that I'll pay it back, and I haven't. So yeah. So
I'm glad that the raccoons didn't jump overboard on the boat as well, which is always a worry.
No, it was low tide. So
low tide. Woe betide. Thank goodness for that.
Darling.
Oh, silly me.
God, you should have known.
No, all raccoon people know that.
Yeah, so yeah, you were, of course you would have known that it was low tide and the boats were sitting on pebbles. So yeah, so we did that, and then like that story actually got in the newspaper too. And then that happened, and another really funny one happened was a lady who's been a customer to me quite a few times. She decided to bring her Shetland pony along for a photo shoot, but she wanted it all clean and looking beautiful before her photo shoot, and so she decided to give it a wash beforehand. But her 3-year-old child had a tantrum, so never got round to drying this poor pony. So this pony arrives in my studio literally soaking wet and like dripping wet with water, and we were like, she was like, we can't really photograph the pony in this state, can we? I was like, no, we can't. But I then had an idea. My village has 3 hairdressers, and why not take the Shetland pony for a blow dry at the hairdressers? There's 3 in the
Yes.
obviously it's got to be done. So I took so we went there were 3 in the village. So the first one we knocked on, it was kind of this like beauty salon slash hairdressers, and they said no, definitely not, which quite understandable. I then knocked on the door of the Ben's Barbers and asked if we could blow dry down the pony, and they said yes. So we had 3 hair dryers blow drying the pony in the hair salon, and as it was happening, the editor of a local magazine walked past and saw a pony in the shop.
As you do.
As you do. This is newsworthy.
Breaking news. By the way, did the pony enjoy the blow dry experience?
The pony loved it. Yeah, it was like actually really well behaved. The pony was called Coco. So yeah, and then so literally we managed to blow dry this thing, and we were all just laughing our heads off. Couldn't believe that they allow us to blow dry down. I think it was like 4 hair dryers on the floor, but it was the owner of their hair salon, wasn't the barbers, actually wasn't there when it happened. So it was just the son and someone else and a lady who worked there blow drying the horse, and the owner came down from upstairs. He lived above, and his face was absolutely priceless seeing this pony in his shop, and they literally had brand new lino floor go down, and then they had a horse trampling all over. There was a pony trampling all over this brand new lino.
1, did you get a photo of the priceless money shot of barber owner? And 2, did the pony leave any presents on the floor?
Give me 1 second and I'll grab the newspaper cutting. So
amazing. Yeah. Well, whilst Olly goes to get the newspaper cutting, and I'm so glad. Have you ever heard such a story? That's the most breaking news. Fancy the local newspaper person walking past at the time. Wow! Can you put that right up to the camera?
Do you want me to read it?
Wait a second. Can you move it down a sec so I can see? Wow!
So, do you want me to read the whole story?
Go on, read it. Go on, yes.
I'll read it. So,
drop the picture in.
One of local animal photographer Olly Clarke's biggest challenge came late last year when he was asked to take a photograph of a local Shetland pony. No problem, you might think, except this particular animal was sopping wet when it arrived at his Westbourne studio for the close-ups. The owner of the pony had decided to give it a wash before she brought it over, says Olly, but when it turned up, it was still dripping wet. I had to go to Brown's Barbers in Westbourne, and the staff there kindly lent us the use of a couple of hairdryers to dry off the sodden pony in the street. Picture above of mother and daughter team of the pony who owned the pony just after it had received its pre-photo shoot makeover, along with hairdresser Jenny Anthony, who actually cuts my dad's hair, who told Shorelines, we all thought it was hilarious, but when the pony was brought in, we all thought it was hilarious when the pony was brought in, but it was really well behaved. It's the first pony we've done. So, and I don't think they've done any other ponies.
Absolutely cracking news. And Olly, tell me about so you've done your photography, and then did it evolve into any other sort of business? How has because I and all of your adoring fans know you from networking, and you're an
Yeah,
incredible
so basically those were the first 2 years, kind of the stories, and then I went into events, putting on events with businesses, which were great fun. So I worked with lots of dog groomers and lots of pet related businesses, and also pubs and bars, and putting on pet photo shoots there. And that was all fine. And then coronavirus came along, which was a huge curveball. So for 2 weeks, I had no work from the virus. And then what happened was it was my autistic sister's birthday. And I decided to buy her a personalised puzzle with one of the photos which I had taken. But that puzzle never turned up. I then went online and found another website, which was run by a small business up north.
Can I ask you a question there? I just
Yeah.
want to talk a little bit, because the synchronization of the sound has gone. So you look like a ventriloquist puppet. There's a bit of bandwidth challenge at the moment. But tell me about autism and puzzles. Is there a relationship between the two things?
Yeah, so my sister absolutely loves jigsaw puzzles, and they find them really calming, and a lot of people do. So they're really great because they're calming. So so I bought this jigsaw puzzle for my sister, and it didn't turn up. So I then found another website and bought it, and they were far cheaper than the actual company, which the first one. When these cheap puzzles arrived, the quality was so amazing. It was like, there's a business in this. So then I set up a new business called Puzzle Crazy, making jigsaw puzzles, personalised jigsaw puzzles. I mean, most of these were family photos turned into jigsaws. So I couldn't have had a better time to release it, because a lot of people could not see their family because of the virus. They might have been shielding, and literally, as you know, most people cannot see friends and family during this time. So they're the perfect gift to send to people during the virus. I think one of the hardest ones was to start off with. I said to people that I could literally fit as many photos as you like into these puzzles, but then I had a lady with 10 children come along asking if I could fit all 10 children into the photo, and I think it must have had 18, 20 photos in one puzzle. And then from then on, I was like, maximum I'm going to allow now is 7. So I make these collage jigsaw puzzles, which are really, really popular. And then, as well as that, I then saw these as an opportunity to also sell artists' work as jigsaw puzzles. So I found some absolutely incredible artists to work with, and I've roughly probably got about 15 artists which I work with, and I kind of take on another 2-3 a week. And one of my best-selling artists is a lady based in Essex who I found through Facebook, and her pictures are of her paintings are of multicoloured animals. So I thought I would show you one of these, and this one's actually my best-selling puzzle, which is this one here. And so yeah, really, really colourful, really beautiful. It's actually a really tricky puzzle to do, but I've actually made it. But I would say, out of all the puzzles I sell, this has probably got to be my favourite one, which I do.
One second, is that actually a puzzle? Because I can't see the little puzzle out.
This is actually the box of the puzzle.
Oh, is that the box? So can we have a look inside?
Yeah. Inside.
That's a lovely presentation box. Really
Yeah,
nice.
so then lots of really lovely, colourful stuff inside.
Oh, that's really nice. And how much would that retail at?
So this one is $29.50 for that one there. So this one's 500 pieces, and it's really, really popular. Now it's kind of going into a bit QVC, like the shopping channel.
I know. I just really felt a bit funny about that. And how much does that retail at? But yeah, show us your wares. That looks very nice.
I'll show you a few. So I also work with international artists. So I've got these really happy zebras, and this was like, a lot of the artwork what I'm selling is really positive, really happy, beautiful artworks. And the reason why I'm selling these is a lot of people are quite low at the moment because of the virus. So I've sent a few of these happy zebras ones to actually people who've lost loved ones during the crisis, which has been really lovely. And that artist is called Annette du Toit, and she is from South Africa. I believe it's Annette du Toit. It could be du Toit. So who knows? And then I've got this one. This artist was really hard.
Can I just add? Oh, that's so cute. Can I just add that you are a very happy and very positive person as well? So that's really all about you and your whole thing.
So yeah, so all the designs which I do are really happy and positive. So I've got this adorable singing kitten one here, and this is by a Belgian lady called Martine Coppens. I believe she's Belgian. She might be French or she might be Dutch. I'm not fully sure. I might do my research.
So adorable, and it's really a cat.
Sorry, say that again.
And it says Chanson du Chat, which is the song.
Avec cette chanson du Chat London's 1923. I have no idea what that actually means.
Adorable. It's the song of cat. It's the cat song.
Yeah, song of cat. Right. So yeah, these are really, really popular. I absolutely love.
Adorable.
So she was really hard to persuade because she's actually got a huge online following of over 11,000 people. The other artists I go are not as well known. And literally most of the artists which I work with are, they're really, really incredible artworks. But a lot of them, they aren't well-known people, so it's great to be able to share their work and promote them, so people know all about their artworks and they can purchase them. And a lot of people have had outside purchases where people have bought them as prints, which is really, really fun doing these, and I've loved marketing them.
That's really lovely as well, because you're just agenting lesser known artists who are absolutely brilliant as well. Is this also a call out for artists? Are you still interested in hearing from artists? Or
yeah, I am always keen on looking for artists, but a lot of what I'm wanting is it's got to be to my style. One of the things is because I'm quite a people person, I don't like saying no to people. But one of the big problems is it's got to be the right fit. So this is one, I've got to like the artworks, and two, also that I can work with the artist. So I did actually have one of the artists who was really, really hard work to work with, and I had to say, look, I cannot work with you. And so I had to stop it. So yeah, and so I had to stop working with this particular artist, unfortunately. But it's a business thing. Like literally, some people you just cannot get on with. And sadly, this woman was one of these people who was impossible to work with. And it was a big learning curve now that if people are hesitant or they don't want it, don't go, oh, you need to do it, you really, really must. It's like you're missing out on opportunity. Is actually just being like, fine, oh well, your art's beautiful, but you don't want to work with me. Because actually the stress of working with this woman was really just not worth it for making 10 quid profit off a puzzle. So yeah, so it was that, and like the kind of artworks which I'm looking for are really, really bright and vibrant. I get contacted by a lot of illustrators, but what you'll notice, I'll just show you this one again, is the kind of art I'm looking for. The whole thing is filled to the brim with colour. And the reason why that is a lot of illustrators, they just have a really cute picture in the middle and then it's just white everywhere around it, and it makes for a boring puzzle. So a lot of these stunning illustrators, they contacted me and say like, hey, can we work together? But most of the time I can't, because it's just picture in the middle and then nothing. So I can't actually do it. And to start off with, I did sell some of my pet photography work as puzzles, and I quickly got feedback from people saying that they don't make great puzzles because there's just animal in the middle and then nothing around it. I was actually really offended by this, but then I made one of my puzzles of in this style of my own work, and I actually gave up. It just didn't work. So everything has to be really completely covered all over, and yeah, and they're really, really popular in this because the whole image is covered. But also people don't like it just being one singular color, so they like a lot of textures and a lot of different patterns to it. So the lion one, which I showed, is really tricky because it's so many different textures and patterns and colors, and a lot of them are very similar shades, so it makes for a tricky puzzle. But actually, out of all the puzzles I recommend, that's actually the one I recommend most, because completing it was so much fun.
Hey, that's a really good point you make, because I am Miss Zero Patience, and I've had a go at doing puzzles, but I've given up because it's just a great big sky and it's just all blue, and there's not been enough variety in that. So it's a really good point that you make, that it needs to have variety, the image. And
So basically, if I show you the lion one again, there is so much variety of colour. So because literally just doing so much blue sky or grass, it just is so boring. So I kind of make it more fun by having them where they've got a lot of varied colour in them, solely because it just makes for a more exciting puzzle. But the lion is challenging in other ways because there are so many different shades of blues and greens and yellows and everything, and they also look like they can go in a lot of different places.
And also, I've been following your journey as well, and listened to your radio broadcasts as well on the BBC Radio 4 and so on, as a good example of being really, really flexible and resilient within the lockdown, which we're all under the influence, and how you have gone from being a pet photographer and also pet events and pet trades organizer, the pet industry person, to doing puzzles, which was born out of a real need for your own sister to give a gift, and gifting during this quite challenging time. And you're a really good case study of being really flexible in business. And how is that going? With, you've had your news items on the radio, you've made it to national level now and so on. What would you like to share about that, or what has been your
it's really interesting because I've done a lot of podcasts and I've done a lot of radio, and I've also done 2 now video ones, but it's also your tone of voice, how you speak. I did one podcast, and I've got a confession: if I drink too much orange squash, it makes me a little bit hyper. And I drank squash before an interview, and I was really hyper, and I just come across as a complete idiot in the interview, and I haven't actually shared it because it's so bad. So yeah, it's how you come across on camera. So also is for them. So Radio 4, it was a complete nightmare hour before that interview, so I thought I'd talk about that. So I got recommended through Sarah, who runs Mumpreneurs Networking Club, to go on their series about new businesses which have been set up during lockdown. But unfortunately, during that, my sister was having an autistic tantrum, and they needed a clear signal on the radio for it. But she has an obsession with mobile phone, of telephones. And so I was meant to use a landline phone, but she confiscated all the landline phones other than one in her rage. And then whilst Radio 4 were testing the line, she decided to pick up the phone while they were testing. And thank God it wasn't when it was live on the radio. So I then ended up doing it. The only place I could actually find reception in my house to be interviewed was in my mum's bedroom. So I had to sit on this rocking chair, trying to not make it creak, being interviewed. But when it was being interviewed, it was really interesting. There was one thing which I noticed, a lot of people, is they didn't say their business name during their interview. And there was one person who'd been on it 2-3 times, and every single interview she didn't say her business name. So she had the most amazing opportunity all these people listened, they didn't say her name. And then she did it again for the Radio 5 one. And literally the whole way through the Radio 5 one, I just had to plug my business name, Puzzle Crazy, as many times as possible. So literally it was known, because I was just like, you've got this opportunity, you've got to say it. And you also see it in networking. So many people say their name, but they don't tell their business name or where they can find it. And so that was a real big learning curve from the first one. And the Radio 5 one, which I did for 5 Live, I mentioned my business name, and I had about 30 likes on Facebook within the space of about 5 minutes. And I also had loads of people contacting me, and that's literally from mentioning my business name, which was really amazing. So I got a lot from that. And then from that, I've been interviewed on webinar series, which were really great. And what was really nice about that, that was a question Q&A panel thing, which has been asked. And I had quite a lot of people contact me off the back of that, which has been really great. So yeah, that's been really, really exciting, radio and everything. But a big reason why I've been doing radio is because during these times, it's getting the message out there. A lot of people are listening to radio, listening to podcasts, and listening to new mediums, which before lockdown, they weren't really used. Even Zoom has literally blossomed in the last year. Well, no, not in the last year, in like the last 6-7 weeks, because everyone is communicating online, and it's really using these technologies to the advantage for getting your message out there. So I've also set up a Facebook group supporting businesses called South Coast Business Market, which has now got over 800 people, which is an amazing platform for getting your business out there. And I've also created 2 networking groups. It originally was one, which was called Thursday Talks. But I got so bombarded with people wanting to talk that I then had to expand it onto Tuesdays. So I now have 2 groups running on Tuesday, but it's been so good, because literally every meeting I go to, I get someone buying a puzzle. I've been networking for the last 5 years, business networking for the last 5 years. And a lot of people have come back as customers purchasing puzzles. But what I've learned from networkers, you never know who's going to be a customer. And so a lot of the people who have contacted me never contacted me for a pet photo shoot, but they're now wanting gifts of friends and family. Some of them don't have pets, or they don't want their pet photograph, which is absolutely fine. But it's all networking that I've really seen is about building relationships and getting to know people. So there's one lady who has now bought 3 puzzles from me. I've known her for 5 years, but she didn't have a pet, so she'd never be a customer. So puzzles is a great medium, because you can send it as a gift to friends and family. And you don't actually, and one of the problems with pet photography is you actually have to have the dog there present to photograph it. You can't steal the dog. A lot of people find it really hard stealing the dog as a gift. Whereas with these puzzles, they can just say, hey, can I see some pictures of your dog? And then make it into a puzzle, which is really, really amazing. So literally networking has been incredible for it. And Zoom networking, the power of online technologies has just been unbelievable. And I'm sure, as you'll agree, Maria, that your business is flying because of Zoom technology and networking.
Well, absolutely. I am working my business right now on Zoom, and you have been so amazingly enabling to support me in my business, actually, with South Coast Business Market Group. It's the most incredible group. You are really on it, offering support, really hands-on, really enabling everybody. The people on the group are so nice, and you, above all, for me, from my perspective, is you're obviously you're a people person, you're very kind, very, very positive, and you've taken these traits for the good. You not only help yourself, you help everybody else, and you really, really to give a lot of your time doing that, and I think that's wonderful. And you also do a podcast, don't you, which is so entertaining. Tell us about that too.
Yeah, so that's a new thing which I'm doing with a really close friend of mine, Shahida, where we interview businesses. We actually had someone turn us down, which was funny. We had it all booked, and then some guy, he was like, "I've not been interviewed on it." Fine then. So but it's really great. So it's a lot of big businesses and musicians and everything. We've had all sorts of people, but that again, that has been really challenging, the tone of voice, what we put across on it. It does get really, really giggly. So yeah, it's a very chatty podcast talking to businesses, and what we like about it is it's quite diverse. But the business is what we interview. We did a really fun one yesterday, actually. I need to put it up. Interviewing a mortgage advisor, and this mortgage advisor is called Holly Beatles, and she's absolutely amazing. But she admits that she has a really boring business. But one of the challenges of having a boring business is actually getting it out there in a fun way. And so you meet so many boring people networking who are so unenthusiastic about business. They're like, "Hi, I'm Trevor and I sell light bulbs." And it just does not appeal. But Holly's got this amazing personality, really infectious personality, where she's full of life, talking about mortgages. So Shahida and I actually interviewed her about how on earth do you make a boring industry sound fun on radio? And she absolutely nailed it. So
I can't wait to listen to that. I think that's such a good point, because I go to business online networking meetings, and even the real life ones, remember the good old big fat full English breakfast and loads of coffee. Missing that. But when people do their pitches, sometimes I'm not very inspired to go up to them at the end and go, "Oh, tell me all about your business." And I think it's a real art to bring something else to talking, and it's really funny. I mean, it's true, some businesses are really boring. Accounting is really boring, some things are really boring, but it's not so much for me the thing, it's the person behind it, and the person behind the boring thing is an amazing person, because we're all amazing people, we've all had amazing lives like you.
Yeah, I mean, Holly is absolutely amazing. She's fallen into boring jobs, but she is so incredible because she's just got such a bubbly, happy personality. And it's like she goes, "I do admit I don't really fit into this whole business industry because I'm so bubbly." But she's like, literally, she's like, "I cannot be the boring one networking." And she goes, truthfully, some people will never buy from me because they want a boring mortgage advisor. And it was so interesting talking to her about that. And she's just so interesting. And we interviewed a band called Pattern Pusher, and they are an up-and-coming, really, really fab band. And they were invited to the Pilsen Party, which is put on by Glastonbury for the village of Glastonbury as a thank you for being such, like, putting up with the chaos of Glastonbury. So they get their own festival just for the village of Glastonbury, and they were played for it, and it's a competition where they thousands of bands into it, and they won it to play, and they were headlining with these absolutely massive bands, which was really amazing. So we did that, and we also interviewed another musician called Gigi Monrose, who's absolutely amazing. She's from East London, really bubbly, and she's writing music all about coronavirus, and she's really fun. And I actually met Gigi at one of her gigs, which was in a hairdresser's. So in this like really run down London hairdressers, and they were giving away free beer, and that got me in. And I had the most amazing night, and we've been friends ever since. So, which is really fun. We've done some really, really
in in the hairdressers in East London, were there any ponies getting a blow dry?
There wasn't any ponies, but I told them that they needed to get a bunny rabbit in there. They needed a bunny rabbit, but they haven't got a bunny rabbit. So
Oh,
I thought a rabbit would make it really wow. But yeah, it was an absolutely amazing night. Really, really fun night. Everyone was sitting all over the floor in the hairdressers and wacky art all over the walls, and it was really, really great night. Um, but but yeah, so we clicked from there, and it's been really good. And podcasting's been amazing. I've been on quite a few podcasts. It's a great way to get a message out. You have no idea who's listening to you, which is what I really like about it.
that's so exciting. And so, Olly Clarke, what is next for you? So we've got pet photography, we've got the adventures of raccoons, we've got pet events and the pet industry. You bring that together. You are such a business and people enabler. You bring businesses together. You support businesses in a massive way. And podcasting, again, you're supporting businesses to share their business stories and stuff. What could possibly be next for you? You've got your puzzles as well. What other ideas are in the pipeline? Or do you just go with the flow? How do you work it? Do you just follow the joy?
It's always thinking things through, because at the moment I don't know when I'll be able to go back to events, because actually literally it's really quite hard to social distance doing it. I don't really want people breathing on me at the moment. Yeah, oh god, I can't imagine being breathed on. So yeah, it's probably going to be a while till I go back to pet photography, but what I'm quite keen to go into is maybe doing craft fairs and outdoor markets, and being market man, so on the selling puzzles on the market. So and seeing how that goes, spreading the love of jigsaw puzzles out, and doing some outdoor markets, which would be fun. So yeah, and then
Love that, spreading the love.
and then when things go
What you're
back,
all about.
when things go back to normal, it's going to be really, really exciting, because I'm going to have two businesses. So we'll have a second income stream coming in, selling really fun puzzles alongside pet photography, and I can also have it as an extra product where I can go, look, I can also make your family photos into and pet photos into jigsaw puzzles, which is going to be really exciting. So
Well, that's just so inspiring, Olly. You are kaleidoscopically colourful, inspiring, lovely, all-round good bloke. And I just wonder if I can book in for a pet photo shoot for myself in my cat onesie when we can.
you and your cat onesie, of course. No, I'd love that.
That would be great. Well, thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you for coming. Thank you for interviewing me.
Well, Olly, you have been entertaining, inspirational. You really are. You're so inspirational. You're always positive. You're always sunny. Yes, there's some difficult things going on in the world. There's difficulties going on in people's lives. And you are just a real ray of sunshine. And I and everybody really appreciate you. And it's really nice to actually officially say this on record. You are amazing. Stay beautiful, keep shining, and don't go changing.
Thank you. I will try. My business philosophy is help others and I help you. And I will truthfully be honest with you, it has actually been quite a dark year for me. I've known 5-6 people pass away, but actually it's been hard, but actually the puzzles have been such an amazing distraction, and also networking has been such an amazing support during these hard times. Even though it is dark, it's you've got two choices. Is one, you can be mopey and sad, or two, you can try and find the positive in everything. That's what I try and do. So
Oh my goodness, Olly, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. That literally took my breath away, and just even more, more blessings and power to you to just be able to transform such difficulty into such goodness. I just think yeah, wow, that's taken my breath away, and I'm lost for words there. So I just, yeah, I just wish you well, and I can't wait to share this, and that's amazing, absolutely amazing. Maria, lost for words.
Yeah, it's been really good. Thank you.